Welcome to Annette on America, and I'm doing this live on Facebook. Hopefully, it's working. I have no idea. And you can hear my music in the background. I just wanted to do this similar to my radio show. So, thought I'd start with my favorite prequel or intro music, and I'm going to turn that off now. At the radio station, they don't do it so abruptly like that, but that's the way I'm doing it today. That's the way I roll. So this is my first official Facebook Live. I'm going to try and do this every week. That's my goal. Every Tuesday night at 6 o'clock. And then I will post it on YouTube and probably Rumble. And this is an extra. I have my radio show every Thursday at 1 p.m. Mountain Time that then rebroadcasts Sunday night at 9 o'clock. But this is in addition to that because I just never have enough time on the radio. So if you are watching, feel free to make comments that I will try and respond to if I get time. My name's Annette Bybee. If you don't know me, you probably figured that out since you're on my Facebook page right now, checking me out. So I have a radio show, Annette on America, and you can tune in Thursday. But for tonight, I am going to be talking about Elon Musk and the Twitter file dump that he did today. Or sorry, he didn't do it today. He did this a few days ago. There's a lot to unpack here. So I wrote up some talking points and some questions, and I'm just going to go ahead and start talking about it. Like I said, make comments if you want to in the comment box, and I will try and respond. All right, so last week, Elon Musk dropped a bomb on us. Well, for those of us on the right, there was nothing new. We already knew this 2 years ago. But for those of you on the left who are only getting your news on CNN and MSNBC, it was a bomb. If you actually heard about it. That's the problem, is I don't think a lot of people are actually hearing about it, and I'll get to that later. So he confirmed through tweets from blogger Matt Taibbi that what we already knew actually happened, that Twitter was censoring content that they didn't like, regardless of the truthfulness of it. The biggest instance was when it censored the New York Post story about Hunter Biden's laptop. Apparently, the FBI, who had the laptop for almost a year at that point, met weekly with Twitter and Facebook, warning them that there would be a hack-in leak about the laptop in October 2020. So they pre-bunked the story. This is the first time I've ever heard the expression pre-bunked, but I guess instead of debunked, they're trying to set it up. The FBI knew that this laptop was real. They had it. They knew all the content was correct. And so because they're part of the DOJ under the Biden administration, they had to figure out a way to get that thing to look bad before it came out. So instead of being debunked, the story was pre-bunked by the FBI. So when the story came out, some higher ups at Twitter, including attorney James Baker, decided to suppress it. They did this without any credible evidence, because there wasn't any, of hacking. They even went so far as to lock the Post's account. This was about 2 weeks before the election, so the New York Post couldn't tweet anything in the run-up to the election. And right before I went on the air, I saw the story that Musk just announced that he has fired James Baker. It says Twitter CEO Elon Musk has fired company general counsel James Baker over his possible role in suppressing the Hunter Biden laptop story. In light of concerns about Baker's possible role in suppression of information important to the public dialogue, he was exited from Twitter today, Musk wrote in a response to a tweet from alternative journalist Matt Taibbi that I mentioned earlier, that included an article on Baker's history with federal investigations. Baker was formerly the FBI's general counsel and was one of several federal officials to push the now discredited Steele dossier as part of the Trump-Russia collusion hoax. The Tesla founder went on to assert that he had given Baker a chance to explain himself, but that his explanation was unconvincing. So he was exited. That's a new one as well. We have pre-bunked and exited. All right, so James Baker is the first firing for this specific incident. We know that Musk has been firing a lot of people, but I think this is my guess is this is the beginning of firings over censorship because we're not done. Other censorship came at the behest of the Biden campaign and the DNC, Democratic National Convention Committee, who were given tools by Twitter. So basically, Twitter said, oh, if you want to censor something, here you go. You can just do it right here. And they gave them the tools. Apparently, Republicans were also given those tools, but the Democrats are the ones who really went to town with it. Additionally, Katie Hobbs, who is the Arizona governor elect for now, anyway, also requested some tweets questioning the Arizona election be removed, and Twitter complied with that. So we have Katie Hobbs, who shouldn't have been running for governor since she was the one overseeing the election, but also lining up with the rest of the left and getting in there on some censorship action. Also, the country of Brazil is saying that Twitter has been censoring their election-related tweets. So it's not just in this country. And something else that I thought was interesting, I just went on Google and looked up Twitter and censorship to see what's on there. And it turns out James Woods, the conservative actor, a target of Twitter censorship at the Democratic National Committee's behest ahead of the 2020 election, is threatening to lead a class action lawsuit against the social media giant and the DNC over the damage done to his career and reputation. And I think a lot of you probably know that James Woods is pretty well known for tweeting out a lot of information and a lot of stuff about Hunter Biden. So he goes on, how would you like to fund a class action suit for those who were suppressed? Woods asked Elon Musk Saturday in a tweet thanking the billionaire, Twitter's new owner, for exposing politically motivated suppression of Republicans on the site. I'll be happy to be lead plaintiff. A Woods tweet from 2020 featuring a photo of a half-naked, apparently drug-smoking Hunter Biden, taken from the scandalous laptop that the Post exposed, was targeted for removal by Democratic Party operatives, according to a Friday document dump of internal messages among Twitter insiders. An additional report from the DNC, an unnamed Twitter employee wrote on October 24, 2020, in an email linking Woods' tweet, which plugged the embarrassing photo of then-candidate Joe Biden's son into a Biden campaign badge. The tweet was later removed. James Woods is threatening to lead a class action lawsuit against Twitter and the DNC. So Woods asked Elon Musk if he wanted to fund the possible lawsuit. I will be getting a lawyer. I will be suing the Democratic National Committee no matter what, Woods told Tucker Carlson of Fox News late Friday. I'm hardly recognizable anymore because my career has been destroyed by these very people, Woods said. I will sue, and I'm hoping other people will sue. So that's just one of many, I believe, lawsuits we're going to be seeing in the future. And I think that that's one of the reasons why Musk went ahead and fired James Baker. He doesn't want his current company to be at risk. He wants only the people that were there in the past actually doing the censoring to be at risk for being sued. So what are the reactions to the Twitter file dump so far? Well, KJP over at the White House said it's old news and that it wasn't healthy for Twitter to put all this stuff out. Apparently, it's not really a problem for the White House. They don't really care. There was nothing about censorship or threats to the First Amendment or anything like that. Just it's old news. That's probably because they're also guilty of this. I'm guessing that those Alex Berenson files will be coming out soon since he's suing the White House for having kicked him off of Twitter during COVID. I don't know if many of you are familiar with Alex Berenson, but he questioned the COVID narrative from the start. And so he's got proof that Biden's administration sent over an email to Twitter saying, when are you going to get this guy off of there? You've got to get Alex Berenson off. So we know there are more Twitter files coming, and I'm guessing that's going to be one of them. I think we're just at the beginning here. And so, you know, Elon Musk is, I believe he's got security. Let's just put it that way. He's got some extra security right now because he doesn't want to be suicided. So other reactions, I looked to see what Joe journalists were covering this, not a lot of big ones. Like Musk said, he declares the New York Times lobbying firm for the far left after reportedly ignoring the Twitter files story. So the Times is ignoring it. A lot of papers are ignoring it. If you go on Google and you look to see who is actually reporting on this, it's a lot of smaller outlets. I mean, you've got some on the right, like Fox. CNN's actually covering it. But then the rest of them are these small, like independent newspapers and websites. So I have these questions about this whole thing. And number one, will the mainstream media cover this at all or completely ignore it and confirm that they are not journalists but propagandists instead? So, like I said, the New York Times isn't covering it yet. Will they? I don't know. My guess is that a few of them will, but I don't know if they can continue to ignore it as the story gets bigger and bigger. More files come out, more links to top Democrats. If there is a direct link from the White House to some of this censorship, I don't think the mainstream media can ignore that. And I don't think that can be ignored by these plaintiffs like Alex Berenson. He supposedly filed a case in August. So I don't know what the status of that case is, but that could be huge. If he can actually make the connection to the White House, censoring, that's you can't ignore that. My next question, will the left, the people, not the politicians, ever realize that we need a marketplace of ideas? This is something that we talked about a lot in law school. Basically, the more information that we can get out there, the better. I wasn't really comfortable with Elon Musk censoring, what's his name? Kanye, or whatever you want to call him now, Kanye West, and his, I guess he had a swastika and he put it over something else. But I wasn't really that down with that censorship because wouldn't we rather know what people are thinking? Wouldn't we like to know if these politicians, Kanye West isn't a politician, although he did run for president under the birthday party. I don't know if you guys remember that. But I would rather know who these people are. So let them express themselves. That's what the marketplace of ideas is. We can come in and shut that down. Or we can, and I don't mean censoring it. I mean arguing it, debating it. That's what the marketplace of ideas is all about. Bringing in all the ideas and then debating them. But if the ideas never make it to the marketplace, we can't debate them. We don't know what's out there. So I wonder if people will ever realize how important that marketplace is. And that's why we have a First Amendment, right? And will the left continue to ignore the First Amendment? I know that Twitter is a private entity, but if it's taking orders from the government, doesn't that make it an agent of the government or a surrogate of the government? It seems to me there's a really strong case for suing the government for acting through these big tech companies. And so you need to prove that the big tech companies basically had no choice. I don't know if we can prove that because it seems like they want to do it. But if we can prove that they are taking orders from the government, it seems like there's a good case for a First Amendment violation, a freedom of speech violation. And New York Post should have a case for freedom of the press violation. Although in that case, I don't think that the government actually suppressed the New York Times Post, or the New York Post's article. I think that came just from Twitter, who apparently said that this was leaked when it really wasn't. They didn't have that proof. That's why James Baker has been exited today. There was no proof of a leak. They just decided they didn't like it. All right. The next question I have is, will we hear more about trying to reverse the election? Will Trump continue to shoot himself in the foot with demands for that? I know a lot of you are Trump fans, and some of you will stick with him till the bitter end, no matter what. But the only way you can overturn an election is by going to court and proving fraud. And Trump's been to court, and he couldn't prove the fraud. Now, there's election interference, which has been proven now on Twitter, but that's not the same thing as fraud. So there's no remedy for overturning an election based on interference. So in other words, there's no way to overturn the 2020 presidential election, and it's not helping Trump with his case moving forward and getting elected again by continuing to go back to that election. The interesting thing that needs to be discussed and discussed and discussed, though, is that this election interference probably did flip the election because 17% of Biden voters say that they would not have voted for Biden had they known about the laptop. So you can make a direct connection between Twitter and what it did with suppressing the New York Post story with Biden getting elected. So there's more causes of action there. I don't know exactly what, but if nothing else, this has got to stop. So one of the next questions I have is, will big tech stop the egregious censoring now that there is proof of what they've been up to? Now that it's out there in the light, sunshine is the best disinfectant. So now that it's completely provable and indisputable that Twitter and Facebook have been censoring posts and that those censored posts affected the election, will big tech stop this? Will they allow posts to stay? Will they stop with the censorship? That's one of my big questions. And of course, another one that comes from the whole laptop story. It's not directly from this because we knew 2 years ago, and this laptop has been proven to be real, genuine, not some Russian collusion or plants. Will Hunter Biden and the big guy ever be fully investigated for the contents of that suitcase? And will they ever be indicted and convicted, or at least indicted? Those are the big questions that I have about this story. So I think we're going to continue to see more Twitter files drop over the next few days and more explosive material come out of it. And I think we all need to pray for Elon. I know a lot of people aren't fans of Elon, and he does have some questionable ideas about implanting chips in our head and doing crazy things with intelligence like that, with artificial intelligence. But we have to admit that what he's doing right now is hugely important and will hopefully change the face of big tech. I, for one, have been censored on YouTube when I was posting stuff during COVID, which is over, except if you're in Congress and you're trying to get some more money. But I had probably 3 or 4 of my YouTube videos taken down, and then my account paused for a week. Couldn't do anything with it because I said masks don't work, school should stay open, things like that. So I am really hopeful that this will be the way to end a lot of this censorship and we can get back to having a First Amendment, but only time will tell. So thank you for listening to my first official Facebook Live. Like I said, I'm going to try and do this every Tuesday night at 6. And eventually I may be doing an hour of this for the radio show and then going on to do a half an hour just for you guys. So next time, bring your questions and comments so I can have some interaction with you. That would be awesome. I may even try and take some calls just to see how that goes, to see if anyone wants to dare try and call in while I'm doing this. So anyway, it's been great. Oh, hi, Cindy. It's good to see you too. Come back on again next Tuesday at 6. I may try doing it 5 at some point to see if I can catch any of the drive time. I know this is a hard time because this is the dinner hour. So I'm going to play with this for a while. This is new. And I'm going to try and go onto YouTube and maybe Rumble and LinkedIn, a few other places live at the same time. So thanks for listening. And I'll post this on YouTube if you missed any and you want to see the rest of it. Just go to Annette Talks on YouTube. All right, thanks. Good night.